Epitaph of the Wild West from the book Trains, Trails, and Outlaws by G.C. Stevens. Dusty Trails of the Old West, Publishing 2026. By 1912, the open range that had defined the American West for half a century was gone. In Lincoln County, New Mexico, the same harsh land where Billy the Kid had fought and died in 1881, cattle no longer drifted freely across unfenced prairie. Instead, barbed wire grids divided the grass into quarter-section homesteads, and the last longhorn drives had ended decades earlier. The frontier that Frederick Jackson Turner would declare closed in 1893 had been tamed by technology, law, and the sheer numbers of settlers. What remained was a memory preserved in fading brands, rusted windmills, and the occasional sandstone grave marker. The transformation began with the cattle boom after the Civil War. In 1866, Charles Goodnight and Oliver Loving blazed the Goodnight-Loving Trail from Texas to Colorado, moving thousands of longhorns north to railheads and army posts. By the 1870s, the Chisholm Trail and its rivals funneled more than 600,000 head a year to Dodge City and Abilene. Cowboys, many of them former Confederate soldiers, freed black men, or Mexican vaqueros, rode for months across a sea of grass that belonged to no one and everyone. Waterholes were public, grazing unlimited. Disputes were settled with six guns or fists. The nearest federal marshal might be a week's ride away. The Homestead Act of 1862 and the promise of free land drew thousands more, but for a generation the cattlemen ruled an empire measured in square miles rather than acres. Then the railroads arrived. The Atchison, Topeka, and Santa Fe reached New Mexico in 1878, the Southern Pacific in 1880. Cattle could now be shipped east in rail cars instead of walked to death. Prices soared, then crashed in the mid-1880s as overstocked ranges competed with refrigerated beef from Chicago stockyards. The final blow came in the winter of 1886-87. Blizzards and temperatures 40 below zero killed an estimated 50 to 90% of cattle on the northern plains. In the Southwest, drought and the same storms finished what overgrazing had begun. Ranches who survived turned to smaller, controlled herds. Barbed wire sealed the change. Invented by Joseph Glidden in 1874 and mass-produced by millions of miles, the cheap steel fence arrived on every freight train. By 1885, the open range was sliced into private pastures. Farmers, sodbusters, plowed the buffalo grass under for wheat and corn. State and territorial legislatures passed laws recognizing the new fences. The last great trail drives ended in the early 1890s. Cowboys became wage hands on ranches now measured in sections, not counties. Electric lights appeared in towns that once lit their saloons with kerosene and Colt revolvers. By the time the Model T rattled past the old adobe line shacks in 1912, the West had been remade. The land that once owned men had been parceled, titled, and sold. Yet something of the original promise endured in the wind-scoured graves and the quiet resolve of those who stayed. The epitaph carved on countless headstones across the high plains read the same in spirit. Here lies a country that was wild, then broken, then fenced, forever changed, never forgotten.